gray. The sports bar's warmth makes the worries sway. Chips half eaten, laughter fades in the air, but we hold on a moment's treasure so rare. We laugh through the tears as the night unfolds, creating memories like stories retold. Raise your glasses high, let's make a toast to friends and good vibes, that's what we love most. With games on the screen and snacks on the side, at the sports bar we gather, let the fun be our guide. As the jukebox plays, familiar tunes start to play. Each note, a reminder of friends who couldn't stay. Wings gone cold, but we savor the vibe in the heart of the night, our spirits revive. So here's to the past and the friends we've known. In this funky bar, we'll never be alone. Raise your glasses high, let's make a toast to friends and good vibes, that's what we love most. With games on the screen and snacks on the side, at the sports bar we gather, let the fun be our guide. Out and the lights grow dim, we'll carry this joy through thick and thin.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Welcome to the fourth episode of the second season of On the Swivel at the Sports Bar. And like I said, Merry Christmas. The family's downstairs. We just finished opening presents and all that kind of stuff. So I had to move the sports show back an hour, which is cool. But, you know, I was watching it. I was thinking the Ravens game would have been something to look at, but they just blew out the Texans really, really bad. I don't think it's a good way for the Texans to be going into the playoffs. But I still can't get over the hump with the Ravens just yet. We'll talk about football in a second. Disclaimer, I'm going to use some videos, that I found out here. So it's fair use on the videos that I use. I no longer embed them. I'll just, switch the sharing to the particular videos. But anyway, just getting back to football. It was an interesting day today of football. But Pittsburgh, I think that was a big loss for them. When you say big, they lose the division. They're not. I think Baltimore's not going to give it up. I don't know if they clinched yet. I think they might have clinched today, even if they lose next week. But anyway, so there you have it. So last week, I thought these were some upsets from last week. I think the Panthers beating the Cardinals was a mild upset. Not that the Cardinals were any great shakes, but losing to the Panthers was a big deal for them. I think that kicked them out of the playoffs for good. The Cowboys beat the Bucks. Of course, the Cowboys are out of the playoffs. I think the Bucks couldn't afford to lose that game, but they did. And then the Commanders were slight underdogs to the Eagles, and the Eagles lost that game, but it didn't matter to the Eagles in the standings. But anyway, we're going to look at some of the highlights. We're going to look at the playoff picture. We're going to do a couple of things about the playoff picture. It might be interesting to listen to. All right, so if I can get that. So I'm going to stop sharing here, and I'm going to go to the football playoff picture and let the guy talk about it. See how we're doing from Stan. All right.
NFL playoff picture entering week 17. We will be live, not just for every NFL playoff game, but for every college football playoff game as well. Tune in, have some fun, hit that sub button right now. Let's look at the current NFC playoff picture, then AFC, then more in depth on all the teams still alive here. Lions, Eagles, Vikings, Packers have all clinched a playoff spot. None of them have technically clinched a division yet. That could probably will change this week. Commanders, Bucks, Seahawks, Rams, Falcons, all fighting for two spots among those five teams. In the AFC playoff picture, Chiefs, Bills, Texans have all clinched their divisions. Steelers, Ravens have clinched playoff spots as well. Seeding very much up for grabs. There are still 5 teams fighting for 2 spots. However, there is the possibility the entire AFC, the 7 teams, are figured out as soon as this weekend. All right, let's go more in depth on the NFC since they played on Monday Night Football. The Packers locked up their playoff spot with a win. Lions got some good news with the Eagles' surprising loss against the Commanders. Now, they have already clinched the number 5 seed. The only reason they haven't clinched anything more is because the Vikings are also playing great football and are still alive for the division. The Lions clinched the number 1 seed with a win over the 49ers, and if the Vikings lose against the Green Bay Packers. That Eagles loss went a pretty big way to help out Detroit and potentially Minnesota as well, which maybe ends up being decided in Week 18, but we'll see what happens this weekend. The Eagles, they had the surprising loss against the Washington Commanders. They have the Cowboys this week, the Giants in Week 18. They have already clinched the number 7 seed. Now, they can clinch the 6th seed for, wild card purposes if the Packers lose, but that is not what Philadelphia wants to get. I think we all know that they have their eyes set on getting more than that. They are still just 1 game away from clinching the number 2 seed and the NFC East in the process, while still being alive for the number 1 seed. If they win against the Commanders, or against the Cowboys, or the Commanders lose against the Falcons, Eagles lock up at least that number 2 seed. The Eagles, Vikings, and Lions are all still alive for the number 1 seed in the NFC. It's most likely the Lions. They've got tiebreakers and whatnot. Eagles are still more technically alive. They need some help here. Who gets the number 1 seed in the NFC? Let me know.
Yeah, so there's some drama still left in the NFC for that number 1 spot. Now, I'm one of those kind of guys, and I'm not a coach. That's why I think this way. I'm not so keen on that big bye week. I know people got to heal up and stuff like that, but that week off depends on the kind of momentum your team has. I think you could lose it, but that's just me.
On the comment section, the pinned comments of today's show, go vote if the ad comes here on YouTube. The LA Rams hasn't always been pretty the past 2 weeks, but they keep taking care of business. Week 16 win over the Jets. Week 17, they have the Arizona Cardinals. Week 18, they have the Seattle Seahawks. Again, all the Sunday times are TBD, by the way. Their playoff probability right now is 86%. And something I have never seen before, the Rams with ties have 228 clinching scenarios. There's a ton of tiebreakers and strength of schedule stuff and components, all kinds of chaos out there. The simplest scenario to clinch a playoff spot is this. They win the NFC West. If they win and the Seahawks lose to the Bears. Now, there are other scenarios. I'm not going to list all. It's nearly 30 that exist otherwise. It's stuff like Rams win, Falcons lose, Packers lose, Lions lose, Broncos lose, Rams lose, Falcons lose, Packers lose. In fact, it's all required for the most part of the Falcons losing to the Commanders pretty much then. Lions and Broncos and Dolphins and Jets and different combinations of all those teams coming up short, and you get the right combination of strength of schedule. In fact, there are scenarios in which they lock up the number 3 seed if the Falcons and Seahawks and Bucks all end up losing games. It's complicated as all get out. Just win, and the Rams control their destiny. They have magic numbers 2, and they play Seattle in Week 18, by the way. The Falcons, thanks to the Bucks loss, spend some more time on that here, and their blowout win of the Giants. Games against the Commanders, who they're going to be underdogs against on Sunday Night Football, and the Panthers, they got a 50+% chance of making the postseason. Now, they can clinch the number 4 seed this week. If they win and the Bucks. All right, AFC playoff picture here. Again, Chiefs, Bills, Texans all clinch their divisions. Seattle or the Steelers and Ravens battling for the number 3 or 4 seed and the AFC North. The Chiefs have already clinched the AFC West and at least the number 2 seed with their win over the Houston Texans. Now, they play the Steelers on Christmas Day and the Broncos on the road in Week 18. The Chiefs can clinch that number 1 seed with a win over the Steelers or a Bills loss against the Jets. If the Chiefs don't beat Pittsburgh, then there is still possibility of the Bills catching up with that 2-game deficit because they have the head-to-head tiebreaker. So the Bills are not out of it yet, but the Chiefs have all the control at this point. So will the Chiefs lock up the number 1 seed? Why for yes and for no? Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Was it pretty? But the Bills did get a win over the Patriots. They then wrap up with the Jets and the Patriots again in Week 18. Fantasy owners everywhere praying the Bills have stuff to play for. They have already locked up the number 3 seed. And what's going to happen this week is there is a very real possibility of the Bills knowing that they're in the 2 seed going into Week 18 or knowing they're alive for the 1 seed. If they beat the Jets, they lock up at least the 2 seed. Or if the Steelers lose and Ravens lose, they also lock up that number 2 seed. So as you'll see in the AFC, there are scenarios that exist in which everything is kind of locked up, or almost everything is locked up going into Week 18. The Steelers, now they've clinched at least the 7 seed with their current record. They put the Chiefs on Christmas Day and a Bengals team that may or may not still be alive. Now, their clinching scenarios are unique. They cannot secure the division this week, by the way. They don't have – there's too much still to be determined with division games and whatnot to go on in Week 18. But they get the 6th seed with a Denver loss to the Bengals or Chargers loss to New England. The 5 seed if the Broncos lose and the Chargers lose. And they also lock up the 5 seed simply by beating the Kansas City Chiefs. The Texans lost against the Chiefs on Saturday. Now they go play the Ravens on Christmas Day, as Netflix got some good games, by the way. A lot riding on those. Please don't be like the Jake Paul fight and Tyson fight where it cuts out and everyone loses their minds. They have clinched at least the 4 seed and the AFC South. No clinching scenarios for Houston. Let's get to the wild card picture here, where the Ravens right now don't have the tiebreaker over Pittsburgh. But again, that can change with division games to go. They got the Texans on Christmas. They have the Browns that are out of it, not playing for anything in Week 18. Again, they have clinched at least the 7 seed. And what's crazy, kind of funny how this works out, they have the exact same clinching scenarios as the Pittsburgh Steelers. 6 seed with a Denver loss or Chargers loss. 5 seed if both Denver and the Chargers lose. Or they simply beat the Houston Texans. Ravens, Steelers, still, how have you said this? Alive for the AFC North. Who wins the AFC North this year? R for the Ravens, S for the Steelers. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Over now to the LA Chargers, as they are in prime position here. They beat the Broncos on Thursday Night Football. They've got the Patriots and the Raiders, 2 of the worst teams in football, to wrap up their games. They clinch a playoff spot with a win versus the Patriots, or Dolphins and Colts lose. Now, again, tiebreakers don't favor them as much on that front. It does favor them with the head-to-head win over the Bengals, though. They can clinch the 6th seed if they win against the Patriots and the Broncos lose against the Bengals. That it would guarantee them the number 6 seed, but they have the advantage for now. Denver, 2 games to go, have a 2-game lead in the final wild card race. Loss against the Chargers. What is going to be interesting for Denver is the Bengals are fighting for their slim playoff lives. And will the Chiefs have anything to play for in Week 18? We simply don't know yet. The Broncos clinch a playoff spot simply by beating the Bengals. And if that happens, barring a Chargers collapse here, that would secure the 7 seeds in the AFC. The Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals are all mathematically still alive at this time, excuse me. The elimination options for Indy, by the way, is if they lose. Denver Chargers both win. Indy is out. Miami is in a rather similar boat. They lose, they are out. Broncos, Chargers are both out of it. Bengals are very simply win or you are eliminated. They are technically alive. We'll see if they're able to keep those hopes and dreams alive as we move into the penultimate week of the NFL season.
Losing football. Let me stop it right there. So I just wanted to make sure we get all of that good stuff in. And let's just go back to the main menu. And so those are playoff scenarios. I wanted to be thorough with that so everybody can see. Let's talk about the games from last week. and the games to watch this week, I should say. Well, the Chiefs already beat the Steelers, so the Chiefs are 15-1. They locked everything up. Nobody's catching them, so they're done for what they're going to do. So it's just a matter of whether they're going to have all their starters out for the final game of the season, Week 18. Steelers still have a lot to play for. They don't want to fall back too much further. The Ravens are technically in first place, but I guess with a win next week, they clinched. I don't think they clinched this week, but maybe not. I'm not sure. Anyway, because they beat the Texans. They beat the Texans pretty bad today. Actually, I was disappointed in the game. The Broncos and the Bengals, the Bengals are probably not going to make the playoffs, but the Broncos better watch out because the Bengals are going to play pretty hard to beat them. The Packers and the Vikings, that should be a pretty good game. They both have to. They're in a division. The Packers have to win that game. Just so they can maintain standings where they are. So I think they're comfortable. And the Cardinals and the Rams. Like he was talking about the Rams, Cardinals might be looking to play spoiler, and the team looking to play spoiler. They would be happy to hurt the chances for the Rams to get in the playoffs. All right, so that's how I see it. So there's some good games coming up. This is the time of year where the games are really good. College football. Have you been watching? So here's how the playoff picture looks right now. Ohio State has to play Oregon. That's going to be a pretty good game. All the games are going to be good, right? Indiana playing Texas. That's going to be Notre Dame is still alive. Notre Dame, Penn State. So hey, here's the games, man. It's just I think the playoffs is going to go down. Scenarios are going to go down to be like a pretty good thing for college football. They're going to have to try to keep the people from trying to expand this shit, so it's not like the like the NCAA where now there's so many teams, nobody even wants to watch the damn March Madness. They expanded it so much, so yeah, it's like a participation trophy. But I think these games are great, So now the major bowls come into play, and we're in the quarterfinal round. So you have Boise State is going to play Penn State. It's going to be the Fiesta Bowl. I haven't watched the Fiesta Bowl in years. Maybe I'll watch that one. The Peach Bowl is big now because it has Texas in it. The Rose Bowl, of course, is always big. That Oregon, Ohio State game should be really, really good. Now, see if Oregon can own that number one spot. Georgia and Notre Dame. So, again, that's the Sugar Bowl. It's just amazing. So we'll see when it plans out, and we'll put up the semifinal schedule when we get it. Instead of doing the to be determines. All right, National Basketball Association, NBA. Here's some of the top 10 plays of the NBA. I'm gonna go ahead and switch so we can look at some basketball. There's probably some games on today. We have guests in the house. I watched some of football. I haven't watched any basketball, and that's going to lead me to one of my questions at the end about the popularity of basketball. I know the Knicks were on today, and I could have watched some of them, but I didn't even want to watch. I turned to the football game. I didn't watch 1 second of the Knicks game. So let's go ahead and go over and look at the top 10 just a couple of days ago, and just we get some basketball in my blood. It's a shame, but that's what's happening with the NBA. They got some issues. All right, let's play.
We are squeezing 10 plays into just 3 games here for NBA.com's top 10 plays for Friday. At number 10, it's Evan Mobley showing off the patience of a wily veteran here, pump faking to get underneath and around former Defensive Player of the Year Giannis Antetokounmpo for the finish. At number 9, look at Tyler Hero turn on the Jets and pick up the loose ball and get past Isaiah Hartenstein. That one could have been ugly with the landing right there, but Hero living up to his name with the two-hand finish. At number 8, Donovan Mitchell just picking the pocket of Chris Middleton, who was doing a spin move in slow motion, it looked like. Mitchell gets the steal and the easy finish on the other end. The Cavs get a win over Milwaukee, 15-1 at home this season. At number 7, Joel Embiid, looking like maybe he's the replacement for Jason Kelce of the Eagles at center. Hiking it between his legs to Tyrese Maxey, who ends up knocking down the triple. Embiid back in the lineup for Philly on Friday. Number 6, more from Mitchell and Mobley. I just love this kid, Evan Mobley. He is going to be a good one, a catalyst for this Cavs team as they have the best record in the NBA. At number 5, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just tosses it up there to see what would happen, and it ends up being the bucket plus the foul. At number 4, Cody Martin finding Nick Richards with the lob on Joel Embiid's head. Richards, the ultimate plug-and-play reserve guy, fills in nicely for the injured Mark Williams. We've entered the Philly section of the countdown. Here's Ricky Council going all the way. The back scratcher slam, finishing with 2 hands as he cocks it behind his head and finishes strong. At number 2, it's PG up ahead to Tyrese Maxey, who lobs it to KJ Martin. Maxey with the gift right there as Martin high flying for the finish. And we've got one more from the Sixers on this countdown. And the top play is from Gershon Yabusele. Look at him in transition. The big fella putting it on the deck. And poor Daquan Jeffries is the victim in this one as Yabusele, a little celly of his own here, flexing on him for the top play from Friday night.
Let me stop that right there. I mean, we'll just keep moving along because it's going to be a short show. You know, just going to hit the standings. Let's go ahead and stop sharing that and get back to the main menu and share what we got going on. Here's the standings. Cavaliers hanging on to that first place, man. They've been hanging on all season long. They're I think it's very important for them to finish first in the East. They're gonna try hard. You know, the Thunder's playing well. You know, the Rockets are right on their heels. Imo Udoka is making his comeback rounds as a new coach of a younger team. Hopefully this time, you know, he can have some kind of control within the organization from his proclivities. And so far, so good. You can't afford another scandal. Anyway, so the Knicks still in third, Grizzlies in third. So Ja Morant's return is looking like a good one so far. So we're still, you know, I don't want to say relatively early in the season. I mean, this season's well underway. We're not at the halfway point, but still, enough games have been played for us to start to see how things are shaping up, and things are shaking out. I think the Warriors started hot, and look where they are now. They're just hanging on by a thread. Right now, they would have to play in to get into the playoffs. They started out a little hotter, and they just cooled. And the Pelicans, they just fell apart. I think the Zion Williamson saga has pretty much destroyed the team because they have a big chip that they just can't play. They cannot rely on it. It used to be, I never was a big advocate for saying it was just his weight. I just think those guys piled on more. I mean, he's going to always be a big guy. I think there's some other stuff. I think his proclivities with women, the fact that he eats a lot is just, I think all of these guys, a lot of them do eat a lot. But he should get a nutritionist. He probably doesn't drink enough water. He probably doesn't do the kind of things that keep his body in shape. Those muscle pulls have some organic meaning behind them. And they can't just be because even when he lost all his weight in the beginning of the season, he still pulled a muscle. It's like, I don't know what kind of training he's doing, what kind of stretching he's doing. But even with the reduced weight, he still got hurt. Right? He still got hurt. But he's pulling muscles. There's something that he could be doing probably to have a better percentage of being a player who could play for a full season. But when he goes hard, he inevitably just hurts himself by just playing basketball. It may be time to cash in those cards. And wait till you see if he falls out of the NBA, we'll see all of those ladies run to the hills and taking half his shit with him. He's been an idiot, and it's gonna keep. It could be a tragic story for him. All right, so WNBA. I mean, there's enough talk about Caitlin Clark and everybody else, and I know that we got Juju coming up later on. But I just think people keep avoiding the reason, not avoiding the reason. I just think people keep making it a negative situation on why Caitlin Clark is so popular. One, she is white, she's straight, and she can play basketball. It's as simple as that. And nobody wants to admit it because just the truth of that has connotations that are not fair. I mean, the majority of people here are white. The WNBA, it has not been so inviting to the overall audience in the United States. And she was the one who opened that veil, and the numbers don't lie about that. And no matter how much she tries to go woke, she just made a mistake. She just kept her mouth shut on that situation, because no matter what she says, the jealousy is not going to go away. So that's enough about Caitlin and the WNBA. We'll see what she lost a lot of popularity, but I think a couple of good games next year, and her keeping her mouth shut might help her out to regain some of that swagger that she had before. Baseball's in the off season. I'm not doing too much. I mean, free agency period. I didn't change the slide from last week. Hockey, man, they just play games, right? There's 82 games in a hockey season. If you're not a big hockey fan, hardly anybody talks about hockey. You got to look for specialized sports shows to see hockey. Somewhere on the ESPN, you'll probably get around a 5-minute segment here and there. It's just not juicy and salacious enough for folks to talk about individual games unless you're a diehard fan. I mean, I don't know how many casual hockey fans there are out there. I mean, there's enough to pay these players some decent money. And, in a lot of places in Canada, hockey's probably still bigger than it is anywhere else. But, hockey's hockey. We got 3 teams in the metropolitan area, the Devils and the Islanders and the Rangers. They seem to keep going. Sometimes those stadiums are filled, or the coliseums, or whatever you want to call them, arenas, rinks. So I don't know. I'll probably catch a hockey game at some point. I just haven't really looked at it, but I just thought it would be fair to at least show the standings, right? So people could know what places, if you're a big hockey fan, at least you know that there's some standings out here. There's so many teams make the playoffs as well, but we still a ways away. We halfway through the season already, but here we go. So you see what's going on. It's a lot of parity in the National Hockey League. Big Three. When the season starts, I always just cover it. Other sports banter, I thought was worth talking about. Okay. Stephen A. has his show. I can't show him do his thing, because they block it and they give you a copyright strike on their stuff. They block your video. So anyway, the Chiefs. So he got his top 5 teams going in to week 17 this week. The Chiefs are still on top, and they solidified that with a big win today. So the Bills will be on this weekend, the Lions, the Vikings, the Eagles. So we'll see. So this is top 5. It'll probably change after this week's up, with the Chiefs remaining at number 1. I mean, the Super Bowl this year is the Chiefs to lose. And that's for sure. Mike Vick gets a new coaching job, and I'm gonna go find that, because I want to play a little snippet of him getting that coaching job. Just him reflecting, and it couldn't happen to a nicer brother, man. So it's about time. He paid a lot for his his mistakes more than most people pay for their mistakes these days. He paid, but he's been back for a long time. He finished his NFL career pretty nicely, you know. So he finished his NFL career nicely, and that's a good thing. So let's go ahead and bring up a little minute or so of Michael Vick saying his farewells, on TV.
Michael Vick made a lot of headlines this week because he is the newest coach of Norfolk State, and we are also committing to Norfolk State right here.
Hey,
Let's
hey,
go,
my hair.
Spartans.
Sign me up, baby.
Mike, we are so
Sign us up,
happy
baby.
for you.
757. Congratulations, my man.
It comes with mixed emotions as we love you so much, and we don't want you to leave us. Now, you're stuck with us the rest of the season.
Let's
but
go, Spartans.
We are so happy for you, and I see the emotion. What makes you emotional?
First off, just being a big part of Fox Sports and the opportunity. I love you guys. I love everybody in this building and this administration. Have been amazing to me. This wasn't easy. Bittersweet, but when you got a chance to go, get an opportunity to go lead young men in your community. Where I grew up, watching this team, and I wanted them to be assured that they wanted me as the head coach with no experience, but I got what it takes. I got all the right people around me, and I'm going to really embark on a new journey.
Oh,
and so I know y'all be right there with me.
Yes.
But this will forever be home, man, and I'll never forget.
Hey, well, for any kids that's watching, you see the emotion. That's what it means to him, and he's going to pour all of that into you. So anybody that's out there undecided about what you're going to do, I've been around this man for a few years now. You can get the best knowledge from this guy, man. So Norfolk State, man, we're looking for big things.
So special. Our loss is their gain. We love you so much, and you're our teammate for life, and you're stuck with us for the rest of the season. But we're excited to see what you do in your next chapter.
Man.
We love you, bud.
Mount Trashmore?
Yes, sir.
So that's a good thing right there, right? It's good to see a brother come back from where he was, getting more time than he should have in the first place. But you had to pay for some of your sins, and he did more than most people pay for theirs, and I think somewhat unfairly. But anyway, he's here, so that's in the past, and he's doing his thing. So that's something for all of us to be happy for Mike Vick moving on and being a head coach of Norfolk State. All right, so this is a saga that just keeps on giving. And I don't have a video or something of this one. Even if I did, I wouldn't want to play it. Essentially, this is just a regular story of a guy who's famous, of a man who falls in love with a woman who's just too fast for him. That's the regular story. It happens to the best of us. Every man who's been through a dating life, and it occurs at certain ages, you have your nose broken open over for the wrong woman. And when I say wrong woman, I don't want to disparage her, but she's a typical chick who knows her way around men. And she found a guy who's a duck. And it just so happened he's going to be a rich duck. And she's smart enough to say, and she's not smart enough to play the game in front of the cameras because she's narcissistic enough that she wants the spotlight like him. She hadn't realized that he's the spotlight that's going to take her everywhere she wants to go. So he talks about he's been with her for over 5 years, but all her side pieces, her dudes in her orbit that she's fooling around with, they're diming her out. They're starting to put out pictures of her and them all during this time where she was supposed to be his girlfriend. And whether she told him about this or whether he doesn't care, which I think he's dweeb enough not to care. He doesn't understand. And there's a certain naivete to him that is both admirable, and it says that he is astute enough to game in terms of football, but he's very naive when it comes to life and women. And if you look at him, let's say none of us are. I'm not no handsome Joe. He ain't no handsome Joe. If he wasn't going down this path to make millions, not that she's the hottest chick in the world, but she wouldn't give him a look twice. She already said it, no matter what else she says. But then again, I talk to a lot of people about this. Well, we talk back, going back and forth. I said every woman wants a man for his resources. I mean, I'm married. My wife wouldn't have married me if I didn't have nothing to offer, just myself. You know, I don't think she would have done that. You know, or else she probably would have been with somebody else already. You know, all women want men for their resources. Every single woman. I listen to these, hyenas who are rich, so-called boss babes. All they talk about is finding a man who's at their level or better for his resources. They say all this bullshit about, is he equally yoked and all. That's just horseshit. They want a guy who could take care of them. They want his provision. They want something from a man, and it's usually his resources. Because these are the same chicks who would like him to take over the lion's share of everything, and so their lives could be easier. So every woman's hypergamous that way. The ones who aren't, you could tell. You could tell the ones who aren't. They're usually not at the top of the food chain. So anyway, she's taking a lot of heat. He's taking a lot of heat. But you know what? They need to get off of social media. I think she's more savvy about it. She's not going to be able to stay off of social media. There's absolutely no way that she's going to be able to do it. He might be able to do it, but she can't do it. I know she can't, right? It only is going to work for a short period of time because attention is what this woman wants. And I don't know if he can handle it. Just go back to playing football, brother. And if you happen to actually go through with marrying her without a prenup and all that kind of stuff, listen, God bless you. That's all anybody should be able to say. And what we think, we could just keep to ourselves. So, good luck and God bless, man. We kind of think we see what's coming, but none of us are God. Things could change, right? Anyway, so that's that. But it's a conversation piece. And when a woman's ex guy she's fooling around with, because usually guys are really not keen on just throwing shit out like that. When they start showing pics of her in their house, her grinding on them, and her, I think the one with her with the rapper, I think that could be her in a music video. So if there's a video that he released, and it's a music video and she was in it, I don't know if that really counts as a bad thing. If she was working as a video vixen. But if she was just over his house chilling in his bedroom, that's a different story. Anyway, so that's that. Poor bastard, man. I remember those days, but you're young, you'll get over it. You might lose a lot of money in the process. It's going to be an expensive lesson, but you'll learn, Travis. Anyway, the NBA ratings continue to decline. Just like I said earlier today. I said I didn't want to watch, and I mean I know there were some games on. There probably still some games on. I just am not willing to watch any of the games right now. There's other things going on. Watch the football games. Unfortunately, they weren't that good today, right? The Kansas City game was a little bit better, but that you could see that they were in control. The Chiefs were in control. The Ravens games were completely off the rails, early on. And I still didn't want to change to a basketball game. So what is it? Is it just a style of play, or is it the players themselves that have become unlikable? And I asked this question of a couple of guys before. I said, does the NBA need LeBron to retire? Right? Maybe not Steph Curry so much. But both of those guys, and KD is not even on this level, by the way. I don't think he draws people the way people think that he does. Not anymore. So really, the two guys who put butts in the seat across the nation is still LeBron and Steph Curry. And how could they sustain the league? Even Luka Doncic, right? Luka is great, and so is my man, the Joker. They're great players. But outside of their own arenas, are they really putting butts in the seats? Is Ja Morant putting butts in the seats? Is my man from Milwaukee, Minnesota, putting butts in the seats? And does the fact that these guys are so reckless with their seed babies everywhere, does that kind of hurt their cachet? I know people try to stay out of their business, but their business is all over the internet. You know, does that kind of say, well, you know, if I'm a Christian man, you know, I find it hard to root for a guy leaving babies everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I think there's some underlying things like the way these guys live uh, doesn't make them good to, you know, it doesn't make them easy to root for. I really do. So just think about it. The new stars, the way they don't live like Steph Curry. He has a wife, he has his children, even though his wife, you know, says some shit that she might stray on him and leave him one day. He's a full consummate you know, family man. And so is LeBron James. KD doesn't like women, and from that standpoint of marrying them, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. There's no way that he could find a woman who actually is going to sincerely love him for him. And whether that's his influence from his mother, it's true. He could find a woman who might like him for the time being until she signs on the dotted line. And she might be there for a while. If she's in the wrong state, you know, where there's like after 4 or 5 years, 5 years or 10 years, you're fully vested. That's when whether you'll find out whether they still love him or not. It takes 5 years to figure that shit out. So why marry him at all? You know, why get married at all? It's just and I'm a big man. I just put out a video about being married, but that was in '87. And if you could look at my video on there, a covenant marriage, you could look at my wife, and she doesn't look like the women of today. She doesn't. Anyway, so, you know, but we're not unicorns. But when I tell people how long I've been married, I always get the surprise look. So I can understand the modern day players, but leaving babies everywhere, that's not the answer either, unless it's controlled somehow and you are beholden to the women in some way and those kids in the best way you possibly know how. And then, of course, so the NBA has a lot of issues. Before it was the dress code. That's not it no more because everybody's a fashionista. But there's a reason the load management is an issue. The game, the style of play is an issue. There's no big men on the inside dominating anymore. It's just, and it's obviously the 3-point play, the 3-point shot is not a challenge. It's not a challenge for any of these guys, you know, and probably that shouldn't be a surprise, right? Because I think you could hit a 3-pointer without being that precise. I think it's harder to hit a mid-range shot, you know, because you're in the mix with a whole bunch of people around you. Launching a skyscraper from the 3-point line gives you a chance to aim and somehow you have probably some more degrees of freedom of errors and that ball could still go in. But if you're inside trying to take that jump shot from 15 foot, it seems closer, but you got all kinds of people around you, hands in your face, people on your body. I think that shot's pretty difficult. It's like a lost art. DeMar DeRozan is pretty much the last guy in the league who can do it. Right? I mean, how many 2-point shots do we see? How many 2-point shots do we see? You know, I mean, if it ain't a dunk or somewhere you're in a layup line, you know, so you don't see the mid range. It's like a lost art, man. So I think the game needs to look at that. And then the All-Star game is a joke. It just and the way the All-Star game is, they try to fix it. It's gonna fail. What they need to do is have the American-born players play against the foreigners. That's it. Get the best foreigners and put a team together against the best American players, and the game will automatically turn into something that they both would want to win. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And it will be great again. That's my take on it. I think it's an easy fix. And the fact that they won't do it is because they don't want that so-called divide. It's there anyway. Shit, you know. And we'll find out there's some black players who are not Americans who will play for the foreign team. Shea Gilchrist, some other brothers. Man, are you kidding me? And then Luca and the Joker and all those guys. They put some defense on these guys, and forget about it. Anyway, then just back when I was talking about Travis Hunter and Leanne saga, I'm just wondering, the other question I have is, why is everybody so hell-bent on trying to save Travis from his girl? I mean, I understand it, but, every man that I know understands that you can't stop a man who's smitten with a woman from pursuing that girl. I don't know one successful man who actually went to another man and said, you know what, this girl is no good for you, and you need to find another one. And then the dude saying, okay, I'll do it. No man, most men have to go through their stupid time. They have to go through their stupid time. And sometimes the punishment for being stupid is going to be greater for some men than for others. The punishment for Travis, if he continues down the path of this particular woman, it could potentially be devastating, right? Because he already shows signs of not being able to be objective about how she's treating him and the things she says to him, which is obvious to every other man who's not as naive about women. I mean, I would never let a fucking woman, right, make rules for how I'm gonna live and then abide by them. She would be out of her mind, right? But for him, he thinks that's kind of being a good man. It's not. Your girlfriend, your fiance, or your wife can't make rules for how you live as a man. You could have some kind of agreement that you're not going to disrespect her, but that's as far as the rules go, right? Don't disrespect me, and I won't disrespect you, whether we're in each other's presence or not, right? That's the rule, right? So all this other stuff is crazy. It's like childish stuff for adults, because everybody keeps calling him a boy. I heard this lady on a panel call him a boy. The guy's 23 years old. He's about to be a millionaire. He's no boy. He's a man. He's a man. And she's no girl. They're at the age, if they had the right counseling, they're at the right age to get married. They are actually at the right age to get married, where they could grow together if they were situationally aware of what it means to be in a healthy relationship. That's when you're supposed to get married, not when you're in your 30s and 40s, when you're like a brick wall and you have all the trauma and bullshit in your life, and then you expect somebody else to come and smooth the edges. That's bullshit. The earlier you get married, when you're a legal adult, the better. That takes you off the market. It takes you away from the disease. It takes you away from the trauma. It takes you away from the scammers. And it takes you away from all the bullshit if you're cleaving to one person and you're building together. That's the best way to do it. And everybody else saying otherwise is full of shit. Yeah, everybody else, for both men and women. You ain't supposed to be like, I have to be successful already before I get married. That's bullshit. Just got to have a successful journey that you want to go on in your life. So I like I said, God bless the guy. I've noticed that NFL and NBA and professional athletes who actually get married to the right kind of woman early, their careers are always better. They don't end up broke. They got kids, they got responsibilities, and they make sure they don't blow it by being single and stupid. Anyway, so that's the end of my rant. Like I said, God bless them. And, I'm glad they got off of social media. Probably the best thing that they've ever done. Let's see how long that'll last. Okay, so enough of that rant. Boxing. I highlighted just a few things. Usyk beat the hell out of Tyson Fury. They said it was a split decision. That's bullshit. Usyk beat him all 12. He might have lost 2 rounds. Maybe 3 if I'm being generous. They beat him around the ring all fight long. What the hell are they talking about? It should have been a unanimous decision. because they were looking at whoever runs boxing was looking at the money, because Tyson is still some kind of a draw. But, this guy has his number. Usyk has his number. Usyk will beat the hell out of the other Marcus the Queenberry guy, the black guy with the muscles. I keep forgetting his name. He'll get his ass kicked by Usyk. So right now he's at the top of the game. So it'll be fun, and don't even think about Deontay Wilder coming back. Please stay your ass out, of competition. You're one-dimensional, and every boxer with any merit has figured that shit out. You know what I'm saying? So don't get in there and get your ass kicked. This NUA fight coming up on the 24th should be I don't know how good the other guy is, but it's just a joy watching NUA fight, right? Unfortunately, he's so small at a junior featherweight. It'll be hard for him to get the real great big money and money fights, because he doesn't have the competition that will draw that kind of fight out of him. He'll have to take a chance to move up. And they say, to either, to be a full-fledged, at least featherweight, right? And but he's a great fighter. So, and then of course, David Benavidez, I believe the guy's name is David Morrell, and they're going to fight on the 12th. They're going to fight in February. And David Benavidez is probably going to show another example of why Canelo Alvarez don't want to have no parts of this man. None. But, he's at a heavier weight. I think he used to fight. He's at his light heavyweight. So he used to fight super middleweight. So now he went up to light heavyweight. And I think that extra pounds, his first fight at that weight, he didn't look that impressive, if you ask me. But now he looks a little bit better. He probably look better now that he's been at this weight for longer. And we'll see. That should be a good fight. If he wants a big fight, if he wants a chance at Canelo, he has to keep winning. And then he'll make his own name and his own thing. So anyway, so that's the end of the show. Fair use for all the videos that I used. And we'll have to take it out of here for the Christmas edition. Now, I was contemplating not actually having the show. What's up, champ? I didn't know. Oh, man, champ, I didn't even hear you pop up, man. I did put the thing if you would have clicked up here, but I'm glad you're listening in at least. You could have popped up because I did send you the link, I believe. Anyway, man, Merry Christmas, brother. I was gonna just go ahead and clock out, man, but it's all right, man. I'm always talkative, man. Because I definitely wanted to have somebody to talk about with that Travis situation, and just put a bow on it, because I just think it went off the rails, and it might even be time to worry about the guy with all the pressure he got from the media and everything else, man, because his naivete was on full display. And whether he knows about his woman's past history and forgave her, or didn't know about it, neither one of those scenarios are good. You know what I'm saying? Neither one of them. If he's going to forgive her for fooling around on him, and she's in the, hey, what's going on? Merry Christmas, Catellia. So even if standing outside waiting for her in a car in a party, and she's in there freaking and twerking with guys, I don't know, man. So there are guys like that, who can just let their girls have fun and then, accept them back, so I can't, if that's his hustle, he's a young guy, he can handle it. Maybe I'm old and crusty. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. All right. Anyway, listen, I was going to end the live. I know my wife had invited some friends over and people over, so I got to go back and be social. I wanted to make sure I had the show today. So this is what I'm doing. So, hey, Merry Christmas. I hope everybody, Champ and Catellia, I hope you and the family, everybody had presents. Actually, man, my wife, I can't get through a Christmas, and thank God, without opening presents. This is her time of year. My daughters are all grown, but we got to exchange gifts and all that kind of stuff. And they bought me a Grinch hat for some reason. I don't know why, but he put me a Grinch hat. I put it on. I bar humbug my way through the whole Christmas stuff. Of course, I made dinner. I'm gonna put out a video on what I made, some turkey and some beef ribs and stuff like that. And they were pretty good, if I must say so myself. But anyway, we're gonna end the show, and I appreciate everybody just listening, even if it's for a second. All right, later, and Merry Christmas, and we'll probably have a New Year's show as well. So hey, success never sleeps, I guess.
Grab your friends, it's time to play. Join the fun, we're here all day. Watch the game with drinks in hand. On the swivel, let's take a stand. On the edge of our seats, we live for the thrill. In this moment together, we're feeling the chill. So here's to the laughter as we gaze at the stars. We say goodnight from the swivel at the sports bar. In the flicker of the screens where our spirits ignite, let's cherish this time as we fade into light. Tasty bites and big screen thrills. Every moment gives you chills. High fives and cheers, it's quite a sight. Join the crowd, it feels so right. As the game goes on, our hearts beat as one. Memories in the making, oh, this night's just begun. So here's to the laughter as we gaze at the stars. We say goodnight from the swivel at the sports bar. In the flicker of the screens where our spirits ignite, let's cherish this time as we fade into light. So good night, my friends, till we meet again. In this world of the game, through thick and through thin.